Hey there everybody, it's markcrilley. I'm back with another how to draw video. Today we're going to be learning how to draw freckles. And in order to draw freckles, I need a face upon which to draw them. Now I'm going to be drawing this all in time-lapse in this video, but for those of you who need advice and a step-by-step method of drawing a face like this one, I will have links to 2 other videos in the info box, in the description of this video, that will allow you to draw a face more or less like this one. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and finish it off. Everything about the face except for the freckles, I'm going to do it all in time-lapse so that I can come back and, as much as possible in real time, devote my lesson to drawing just the freckles themselves. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, well I think I've got enough of the face drawn and enough of the shading done that I can begin moving on to the freckles. Let's refocus the camera though to get a little closer in. So as I studied photographs of people who have freckles, I soon realized, as you might expect, that they are different on each different person's face, and it can be, the sort of formation of the freckles can be such that you see them all over the entire face, or they can be just very limited to a narrow kind of band across the upper cheeks and the bridge of the nose. I think what I'm going to do is sort of split the difference between those 2 approaches, and there will be quite a lot of freckles here in that area that I just described, but maybe expanding a little bit beyond it, north and south. Is that a fair way to describe it? We sort of imagine freckles as dots. At least I always did. But as I looked closer, again, at photographs, I began to see that they're not precisely circular. Some of them are maybe a little more splotchy. That doesn't seem like a very nice way of putting it. Irregular in shape. And I guess one of the key things to pay attention to as you are trying to draw freckles on a character of your own creation, is that you have to think of how these freckles are laying upon the surface of the skin. And let's look in here at the nose. As we get to the bridge of the nose, understanding the structure here, it's kind of turning away from us, right? So each individual freckle is going to get narrower from side to side until, as I imagine it, over here at the far edge, they almost are going to look like lines. Because of the extreme angle that you're viewing them at. And so I would say maybe here at the far edge of the nose, or maybe at the far edge of the cheek, each freckle begins to look almost like a line, as if you're seeing it from the side. And then little by little, they turn into ovals, I suppose. Sort of vertical ovals, and then as you imagine the bridge of the nose turning toward us, then they would be widen out, and their full shape of each individual freckle is revealed. Now, the other thing that I noticed, in addition to the variety of shapes, is the variety of darknesses that you see. Let's say, for example, this is one of the darker freckles. I don't believe that you want to start making all of them that same level of darkness. There might be another one over here that is similarly dark. But I was struck by what variety there is in terms of the depth of shading that is required. Then the other thing, and this sort of goes beyond freckles to an artist's a problem that emerges in a lot of different situations, and that is trying to achieve real randomness and balance in an organic way. The last thing you want is for, like this. If I start making all of them very evenly spaced, right, it's gonna look like wallpaper or something. Your challenge is to keep changing the location of these freckles so that no pattern emerges, that they're not like too evenly spaced. I think when we look at cartoons, maybe, where it's all very stylized, you may see very evenly spaced freckles. Does SpongeBob have freckles? I think he might have 3 on each rounded, happy little cheek. But in real life, there is indeed no discernible pattern, and your challenge as an artist is to, randomize it, I suppose, and make sure that you don't inadvertently get too many of them evenly spaced. Now, that being said, I didn't notice like an area where there are a whole bunch of tightly packed freckles and then an open area here and then tightly packed freckles. There did seem to be at least a certain general evenness, even distribution in a more general way. But again, I do think that each person who has freckles it's unique, their own situation. And it's a challenge, especially, with this video, I'm drawing with pencil. It allows me a certain degree of subtlety because, as I press down, it becomes darker as I let up. And here's a little tip. If you want to not have your lines get too dark, you pull back, then the weight of your fingers is removed, is taken a great distance away from the tip of the pencil, and you end up with lighter lines. Those of you who struggle to, make the markings on the paper lighter, if you find that you're accidentally making them too dark, maybe pulling back on the pencil might be a good way of solving that problem. Anyway, I was about to say that because I'm using pencil, I have a lot of leeway in terms of darkness and lightness. If you were trying to draw someone with freckles using ink, then you are robbed of this ability to create subtlety in the darkness and lightness of the individual freckles. And I would say at that stage you almost have to just accept the limitations of ink, and just do your best to have some of them be little more than tiny little dots, and maybe just a few of them go a little bolder. Boulder? Sounds like I'm talking about an enormous rock tumbling down a mountain. In any case, I would say the main takeaway from that I learned in terms of trying to make believable looking freckles on a drawing like this is to go slow, don't rush it. You can see that I don't try to complete a whole section and then move on to the next section. I'm kind of darting all over across the page and having it sort of slowly emerge. I did refer earlier about how I studied photographs. I do, as always, I think reference. There is no shame in using reference. Helps you make it real, like I would not have known necessarily that at least for some people there tend to be fewer freckles up above the eyes, like in this area where I'm putting them now. I noticed, at least in some photographs, that there was a bit there for some people, but way fewer than down on the cheeks. Again, you will find, if you do a Google search for faces with freckles, very often simply searching for that tends to pull up some, I would say, extreme, photos of people whose faces are really covered with freckles in a pretty dramatic way. And indeed, that might be the kind of character that you want to draw, or the type of freckles that you want on your illustration. But it is interesting the amount of variety that is out there. And for those of you who have freckles, if you've ever done a self-portrait, I'd love to hear in the comments section how you felt about that process of trying to replicate the freckles. And indeed, you may have insight into them that I lack. So I think we're getting a little closer to, completion, at least tentative completion of the freckles. I think I should probably add at least a few more down here. I was talking about how in some people's faces it's mostly in a band here across the nose, but that doesn't mean that there are no freckles at all outside of that area. So I think for sort of realism's sake, or a naturalistic look, I want to get at least a few over here. And as I said, as we get closer to the edge of the face, they're not going to be dots anymore. They're just going to be little lines almost. And I would think more tightly packed together as you're simulating the face turning in space. Like, for example, I'm thinking that wouldn't there even be more lines over here because you're sort of getting this angle. See if that helps in terms of... the freckles, like a lot of things, are helping you convey the form, the surface. And to the degree to which you understand the form, you will do a better job of rendering them in a way that makes sense. If you mentally don't understand how the nose is turning in space, you might make the mistake of drawing a very circular freckle right here in a place where it just can't really occur. Anyway, have I said everything humanly possible in relation to freckles? I feel like I'm maybe running out of things to say. What I am going to do now then is pull out my trusty black Prismacolor. Let's go ahead and bring it into frame. This is just an ordinary black colored pencil. You're going to see me doing a lot in terms of darkening up the eyelashes and different things like that. You will not see me using the black Prismacolor so much on the freckles, because indeed I want them to remain kind of gray. I'm trying to go for subtlety there. But let's go ahead and do that in time-lapse, just as a little bit of final darkening, creating more contrast, tightening things up a little bit, and then I will be back with a few final words. Alright, well there's my video on drawing freckles. I hope you enjoyed it. Listen up folks, next Friday's video is going to be something very, very special. I can't reveal what it is. I can't give anything away. It's top secret, but you will not want to miss it. I'm going to be releasing it about 4 hours later than usual. Sadly, that's the way it's going to have to go, around 6 p.m. next Friday, but don't miss that video. You guys are really going to enjoy it, I'm pretty sure. But for now, let me go ahead and thank anyone who has supported me by getting any of my books, like the Brody's Ghost Collected Edition, all 500, boy, almost 600 pages of it. Very excited to have this finally out and in stores. Then Miki Falls, my other graphic novel series. There's the Realism Challenge, my book about hyper-realism, and then, of course, Mastering Manga and Mastering Manga 2. Always super grateful to anyone who helps me out by getting any of those books. But let's go ahead and lay down this pencil. I want to thank you all for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful, and I'll be back with another one real soon.